A wealthy man attempts to embarrass his former spouse at a wedding, only to uncover the existence of 3 sons he was unaware of. Before we embark on this narrative journey, please share in the comments your location as you tune in. Delight in the tale. $6 billion, and yet she still chose to leave. James Mitchell's voice pierced the stillness of his penthouse office. Forbes magazine splayed open on his desk, his visage gracing the cover, his empire stretching across the San Francisco skyline through expansive floor-to-ceiling windows. He carefully traced the word billionaire beneath his photo, recalling how Sarah often remarked that wealth could never purchase true happiness. The intercom emitted a sharp crackle. "Good sir, your stylist has arrived with selections for your wedding suit. Submit them now." James adjusted his timepiece, catching a glimpse of himself in the glass. At 45, he hardly recognized the man in the mirror. Graying temples, hardened eyes, and a smile that had long since faded since Sarah left 6 years prior. The door swung open, and to his surprise, it was not the stylist but Victoria Chase, his supermodel fiancée, who made her entrance. She confidently tossed a cream envelope onto his desk. "Sweetheart, could you explain why your former spouse is included in our wedding guest list?" James grasped the invitation, Sarah's name elegantly inscribed in shimmering golden calligraphy. Revenge is most satisfying when showcased before an audience of 500 and captured by a team of fashion photographers. "Are you trying to humiliate her?" Victoria's crimson lips formed a captivating smile. "That's delightfully mischievous. She walked away when my technological dream was merely a fledgling venture in my garage." James rose from his seat and made his way to the window. "I claimed I would never grasp what truly holds significance in life. Now I have a net worth of $8 billion and I'm on the verge of marrying the most followed influencer in Silicon Valley. And she's—" He wore a sly grin, continuing to educate at that quaint elementary school. "Then let's demonstrate precisely what she has forfeited." Victoria embraced him tightly. "Let her witness my transformation into the new Mrs. Mitchell." James retrieved his phone, his thumb poised above Sarah's contact, the number he had never brought himself to erase. "I believe I will hand this invitation over myself. It's time to let her know that leaving was her greatest error." He pressed the dial, and after 6 long years, Sarah's voice resonated in his ear for the first time. "Greetings? Greetings, Sarah. It's time for a conversation." If only he understood that vengeance, much like a program, rarely executes as intended. And his meticulously crafted humiliation was on the verge of erupting, unleashing 3 revelations that would irrevocably alter his reality. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. The suburban neighborhood appeared just as James recalled it. Sarah's unassuming 2-story home was distinguished by its vibrant blue door and abundant flower boxes brimming with blooms. That's just her usual style. He silenced the engine of his Tesla and lingered there, the wedding invitation searing a hole in his Armani jacket. A child's bicycle rested on its side in the front yard. Odd, he mused, Sarah had never expressed a desire for children. The sound of the doorbell remained the same. James adjusted his tie, rehearsed his smirk, and bided his time. "Are you on your way?" From within, Sarah's voice resonated. Then the door swung open, and there she stood, exuding an infuriatingly perfect charm. Her hair had been trimmed, yet her eyes retained the same inviting warmth he had always found captivating. "Is that you, James?" She blinked, a look of true surprise crossing her face. "What do you represent?" "Greetings, Sarah." He retrieved the cream-hued envelope. "Is it a special delivery?" She accepted it, a look of bewilderment evident on her face. "You traveled all this distance to present me with a—" Her voice faded softly as she perused the invitation. "In just 3 weeks, you're tying the knot," he couldn't resist mentioning. "To Victoria Chase. She may be familiar to you from her social media presence, boasting 3 million followers." Sarah's expression fell short of the gratification he had anticipated. Instead, she gazed with a hint of worry. "Well done," she remarked thoughtfully. "What's the reason for my invitation? Isn't it possible for an old friend?" A sudden crash echoed from within the house, quickly accompanied by the sound of children's laughter. Sarah's head snapped to the side. Hey guys, remember what I mentioned about playing ball indoors? Apologies, mother. A multitude of voices responded in unison. Are there multiple boys? James attempted to glimpse inside the house, but Sarah moved, obstructing his line of sight. Thank you for the invitation, she stated with conviction. I will consider it. Who might that be? He motioned toward the commotion. My sons, her response was terse. Children, are you referring to multiple instances? Sarah's grip on the door intensified. It was a pleasure to see you, James. Warmest congratulations once more on your engagement. Mother, Tommy has taken my controller. A faint voice echoed from within. Absolutely not. Daniel isn't being truthful. Both of you take a break. A new voice entered the conversation. James felt a whirlwind in his mind. 3 distinct voices. 3 unique voices of boys. I need to leave, Sarah said hurriedly. Wishing you all the best for the wedding. The door slammed shut before he could fully grasp the words that had just reached his ears. 3 young lads. What is it about the sound of their voices, the significance of their names? Settled in his car, James retrieved his phone and calculated the figures. It has been 6 years since Sarah departed. When was she pregnant? No, he muttered. She might have shared it with him. Yet, as he drove off, an unsettling uncertainty trailed behind him. It wasn't merely concern that crossed Sarah's face as she perused his invitation. She appeared to be filled with fear. James Mitchell had not constructed a tech empire by disregarding his instincts. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. In the third part, the reality begins to unfold. Is Mommy not here anymore? Michael glanced around the corner while Sarah rested against the shut door. She nodded, gripping the invitation with such intensity that it became crumpled in her hand. Time to focus on your homework, dear. Yet all 3 boys had already gathered in the hallway, their matching blue eyes mirroring his, brimming with curiosity. Who was that individual? Thomas inquired. Just a figure from my past, Sarah navigated her way through. Daniel, weren't you supposed to be preparing for that math test? Was that our dad? Daniel, always the most perceptive, hit the nail on the head. Sarah sank onto the stairs, her sons immediately surrounding her like protective satellites. 6 years of careful planning, of building their little world, threatened by one impulsive visit. Indeed, she ultimately confessed. That was your dad. Is he aware of our existence? Michael's voice was barely a whisper. Not yet. Sarah drew them in, but he could uncover the truth any moment now. Her phone vibrated. A message from her sister Claire. Urgent situation. Reach out to me. Sarah was already aware of the matter at hand without needing to make a call. Claire was employed in the public relations department at TechVision. Word spread quickly. Gentlemen, it's time to begin your homework. I must place a call. In her cozy home office, filled with student papers from her 4th grade class, Sarah picked up the phone to call Claire. Before Claire could respond, Sarah interjected, He came to my house, accompanied by the wedding invitation. I understand. He's been sharing his intentions to embarrass you throughout the office. Claire hesitated. Sarah, it's essential that you share this with him. I understand. Sarah observed from the window as her sons played with a soccer ball in the backyard. I'm just saying they seem really happy, Claire. We are filled with joy. James is tying the knot. Why make things more complex at this moment? He invited you to his wedding to outshine you, and when you arrive with 3 mini Emmys. Who claims I'm leaving? Sarah Thompson, you have been nurturing those boys by yourself for 6 years, justifying their father's absence, and juggling 2 jobs to provide them with everything they need. And now he seeks to demonstrate just how much more fulfilled he is without you. Sarah observed Thomas assisting Daniel after his tumble, while Michael hurried over, a Band-Aid in hand from his pocket. Ever ready, just as she instilled in them. She finally conceded, You're right. However, I refuse to allow him to cause them any harm. Absolutely not. Yet Claire paused. Perhaps they have a right to understand their father. Perhaps he is entitled to understand them. Once she ended the call, Sarah noticed the boys had left their soccer game behind and were gathered around her laptop. Mother, Michael shouted. Could this be him? Is James Mitchell the CEO of TechVision? Displayed on the screen was an article from Forbes highlighting Silicon Valley's most sought-after bachelor, who is on the verge of tying the knot. Sarah gazed at her sons, noting their father's hair, his eyes, and his resolute chin, and resolved to take action. Prepare your finest attire. Gentlemen, we have a wedding to attend. The invitation rested invitingly on her desk. James Mitchell and Victoria Chase cordially invite you to join them. Sarah permitted a subtle smile to grace her lips. They were completely unaware of the nature of the company that was approaching. Later that night, once the boys had drifted off to sleep, Sarah found herself in her cozy study, gazing at 3 identical birth certificates. James' name was notably missing, a decision made in a hospital room 6 years prior when he failed to respond to her calls regarding her early labor. His assistant clarified that he had been in a board meeting. Nothing could break his focus. She retrieved her phone, glancing through the images. Their initial strides, the utterance of their first words, the momentous occasion of starting school. Michael guiding his brothers in all endeavors, Thomas's imaginative disorder, Daniel's serene insight. 6 years of moments that had slipped by James unnoticed. The wedding invitation shimmered in the moonlight, its gold lettering radiating elegance. Today, Sarah recalled James' expression, successful, refined, and distant. So unlike the man who had once devoted 3 sleepless nights to coding their inaugural project, who had shared a kiss with her in the rain just outside their first investor meeting, who had vowed to give her the universe yet neglected to make her a part of it. Her phone vibrated once more, Claire dispatching wedding details, seating arrangements, and guest lists. The meticulously crafted revenge that James had envisioned was on the brink of transforming into his most profound revelation. Sarah gazed at a recent photo of the boys, all 3 beaming after their triumph at the school science fair. It's time to meet your father, she murmured softly. Whether you're prepared or not, remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Mom! Michael's taking over the mirror again. Thomas called out from the hallway. I am not. It was Daniel who dedicated 20 minutes to perfecting his hairstyle. Amidst the morning chaos, Sarah expertly balanced 3 identical lunchboxes, showcasing her skill in multitasking. Young males. The bus will arrive in 10 minutes. The triplets raced down the stairs in their school uniforms, their backpacks jostling with each step. By the age of 10, they were already revealing unique personalities, even with their strikingly similar looks. Michael, the older by 4 minutes, adjusted his brother's ties. Tommy, yours is askew. Quit fussing over us, Thomas muttered. Yet he allowed Michael to take care of it regardless. Daniel, the youngest, found himself lost within the pages of a book. Did you realize that when he began, Dad's company had no value at all? Sarah almost let the lunches slip from her grasp. Where did you come across that information? The vast expanse of the online world. Daniel raised his tablet high. He created it entirely on his own, just as you consistently encourage us to approach our projects. Ever since James's visit 3 days prior, the boys had developed an intense fascination with their father. Sarah discovered them endlessly searching for him, engrossed in his TED Talks and delving into his insights on technology. Mother, Michael inquired with caution. Why didn't you share our story with him? Sarah placed the lunches on the table. It's a bit intricate, my dear. We're not children anymore, Thomas insisted. We can manage complexity. She gazed at their sincere expressions, reminiscent of their father's when he tackled a particularly challenging coding conundrum. Your father dedicated a lot of his attention to his business during our time together. He toiled through 18-hour days, sacrificing holidays and birthdays. However, Daniel noted that he is now successful. Achievement holds varied meanings for each individual. Sarah inspected their backpacks. I longed for a family. He aspired to build a vast dominion. And now he's tying the knot, Michael remarked softly. Thomas included a note addressed to a person named Victoria Chase. She has a captivating smile, Daniel remarked. Sarah found herself unable to contain her laughter. Have you guys been keeping an eye on your father's fiancée? They possessed the elegance of remorse. We simply wish to inquire, Michael defended, regarding our other family. The sound of the school bus honked outside. Is she perpetually this theatrical? Thomas called out to his brothers, his voice carrying so that all could hear. Daniel chuckled softly behind his book. Even Sarah couldn't help but stifle a grin. Victoria's cheeks flushed with a deep crimson hue. I require some time to reflect. She pivoted sharply and exited, almost bumping into Patricia Zhang, TechVision's legal counsel, who was hurrying in with a pile of documents. James, it's essential that we delve into the topics of succession planning, trust funds, and any potential concerns from shareholders. Everyone out, James commanded, his authoritative tone slicing through the turmoil. All but the boys and Sarah. The room emptied with a sense of hesitation. Once more, silence enveloped the room as James openly observed his sons. Michael, the guardian figure. Thomas, the fearless one. Daniel, the silent watcher. 6 years of memories that would forever remain out of reach. He finally announced that the wedding is in 2 weeks. The boys responded in unison. I must work through this. Sarah rose to her feet. Certainly, lads, bid farewell to your father. That, the word struck him with the force of a tangible impact. Michael took the initiative, reaching out his hand with a sense of formality. It's a pleasure to meet you, sir. Your coding architecture for TechVision's main platform is exceptional, Thomas remarked nonchalantly. Daniel gave a slight nod, gripping his book with increased intensity. As they exited, James shouted after them. Hold on, what do you like the most? All things. I desire to learn all there is to know. Sarah hesitated at the threshold. How about stopping by tomorrow? We can have a meaningful conversation. Every one of us. James nodded, his voice caught in his throat. Once they departed, he found himself alone in the room, gazing at his reflection in the window. 3 young lads. 3 exceptional, radiant boys who had matured in his absence, as he had been too consumed by his ambitions to recognize what he was sacrificing. The device vibrated in his pocket. Messages poured in. Victoria, nuptials delayed. Encounter the cosmos. Tom, the board meeting is scheduled for 8 a.m. Managing a crisis. Claire, prominent technology publications are highlighting the story. Encounter declaration. Patricia prepared initial trust documents. A review was urgently required, yet one among them caused his hands to tremble. Sarah, the boys are curious if you would be interested in viewing their science fair projects tomorrow. For the first time in his life, James Mitchell found himself adrift, lacking a plan, a strategy, or a clear path ahead, and somehow that filled him with less dread than the idea of losing his sons once more. Please remember to like and subscribe. They're asleep, Sarah remarked, stepping onto the back porch to join James. A week had slipped by since the rehearsal dinner. They're incredible, James murmured, still reflecting on the evening he had enjoyed playing board games with his sons. Michael outmaneuvered me in our chess match. He outmaneuvers all his opponents in chess. Thomas gained unauthorized access to my phone. He certainly does that. And Daniel still hasn't set aside that quantum physics book I gave him. Sarah beamed with delight. Without a doubt, they are your sons. James glanced in her direction. Why didn't you share that with me? The true motive. Sarah remained silent for a while, observing the flickering fireflies dancing in her quaint garden. Do you recall the week prior to my departure? I was finalizing the funding series. I attempted to convey that I wasn't feeling my best. Thrice, you participated in conference calls every time. James recalled her pale face in the doorway of his office, him dismissing her with a wave while he engaged with the investors. The morning I discovered I was expecting, you were busy with that important presentation. Sarah's voice held a calm assurance. You stated, and I quote, nothing can divert my attention today. The destiny of TechVision hinges on this. Is that you, Sarah? I observed you that morning as you honed your pitch. TechVision is my pride and joy, you kept saying. The mark I leave behind. She pivoted to confront him. I have come to a decision. Is it your little one or ours? That seems unjust. Absolutely not. Neither to you nor to them. Yet I found myself unwell, filled with fear, and witnessing my husband prioritize his work over our relationship day after day. James sank into his chair, a heavy weariness settling over him. I would have transformed. Could you? Sarah faced a challenge. Speak truthfully, James. If I had shared that with you back then, how would you have reacted? He reflected on it, on his younger self, fixated on achievement, resolute in his quest to defy all expectations.
I'm uncertain.
I certainly do. You would have just thrown cash at the issue, established trust funds, engaged nannies, arranged sporadic visits amidst board meetings. Sarah's voice wavered just a bit. But what they truly required was a caregiver, not a financial strategist. What comes next? At this moment, why not pose the question to them? Sarah rose to her feet. Just so you know, they're not asleep. They might be eavesdropping at the door as we speak. 3 unmistakable thuds followed by hurried movements validated her intuition. James found himself unable to contain his laughter. Without a doubt, they are my sons. Indeed, Sarah responded gently. Indeed, they are. Just as James was about to reply, his phone vibrated. Victoria's name illuminated the display. Sarah observed. It would be wise to consider that option. It appears you have some choices ahead of you. He remained on the porch, fixated on his phone, contemplating the notion of legacy. The one he created, and the one he almost let slip away. Within, the soft murmurs of the boys reached his ears, pondering whether he enjoyed the chess match. Did you catch the expression on his face when I revealed the hack? Do you believe he will assist me in grasping the concept of quantum entanglement? James muted his phone, choosing not to respond. For the first time ever, Victoria Chase found herself capable of patience. The voices of his sons floated in through the open window, engaging in conversation about the plans for tomorrow, sharing their hopes, and expressing their curiosity about him. Every word seemed like a treasure he longed for yet felt unworthy of, striving to prove himself deserving. The board had the luxury of patience. The investors had the option to be patient. The empire was patient. At this moment, James Mitchell found himself with 3 lifetimes worth of experiences to reconcile. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Sir, the board meeting begins in 10 minutes. James's assistant conveyed over the phone. Discontinue it. However, sir, the quarterly projections. Tom is more than capable of managing it. I'm heading out to lunch with my sons. James concluded the call, his gaze fixed on the entrance of the elementary school through the windshield of his Tesla. 3 identical figures bounded down the steps, their faces brightening at the sight of his car. Firearm, Thomas shouted. Absolutely not, Michael exclaimed. I am the eldest by a mere 4 minutes. Daniel quietly settled into the back seat, his attention fully absorbed in a book. Everyone gets a turn, James declared, still in awe of how effortless this seemed after only 2 weeks. Michael today, Thomas on the morrow, Daniel thereafter. They flowed gracefully. At the burger joint they had selected, James observed as they devoured their meals, bombarding him with questions. Is it true that you wrote your first program at the age of 8? Thomas inquired, his mouth full of fries. 7, indeed. A straightforward game. Michael mentioned that Mom said you met at a tech conference. James beamed at the recollection. She utterly dismantled my presentation. Are you still planning to tie the knot? Daniel's soft inquiry lingered in the atmosphere. James placed his burger on the table. Victoria and I are taking some time apart, due to our situation. Michael's voice was barely a whisper. No, James replied with conviction. I must determine my priorities. Thomas noted that his mother believed that was the reason for their previous separation. His phone vibrated, signaling that the board meeting had entered a state of urgency. Another stir, a Victoria seeking clarity. 1/3 of the shareholders are threatening to withdraw their investments. James hushed everyone around him. Upon returning to the office, Patricia confronted him. The investors are in a state of turmoil. The presence of your son transforms the entire landscape, influencing succession strategies and the allocation of shares. Excellent, James interjected. Prepare the necessary documents. Divide my shares evenly among them. That constitutes 40% of the technological vision. Tom emerged unexpectedly, voicing his objections. The board will not. The board is left with no options. James's voice was unyielding. And while you're at it, establish trust funds. Top-notch institutions, limitless possibilities. In the bustling corridors of public school, Sarah's voice commanded everyone's attention. She lingered in the threshold of his office, her arms folded defiantly. They will remain there. Sarah, I am able to provide them. What they require is a father, James. Not a financial institution. That evening, isolated in his penthouse, James gazed at his own reflection. The billionaire CEO glanced over his shoulder, triumphant, commanding, yet utterly adrift. His phone illuminated with a flurry of messages. Victoria, it's time for us to have a conversation about our relationship. Feeling uninspired, there's an urgent meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Tom, the stock has decreased by 20%. Sarah, the boys are wondering if you'll be attending Daniel's science presentation. The former James would have focused on managing the fallout, market values, and the legacy he had created. As he crafted his reply to Sarah, he wouldn't miss it. James Mitchell came to the realization that he had transformed into someone entirely different. Behind him, the city skyline sparkled, the logo of Tech Vision casting a glow across the night. He had created that, giving up everything for its sake. It was time to create something new. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Mr. Mitchell, your prompt attention to these documents is essential. James's attorney scattered documents across his home office desk. James glanced over the first page. Establishing financial security for your sons. Typical protocol in affluent circumstances. We've created individual trusts for each boy, available at 25. Let's change it to 21. James gazed at the framed photo he had placed on his desk. The young lads showcasing their projects at the science fair. They're accountable children. The attorney adjusted his spectacles. Sir, considering the sum involved, I have faith in them. James observed the way Michael's protective spirit shone through in the photo, the spark of Thomas's inventive mind, and the subtle depth of Daniel's quiet insight. They surpass my abilities at that age. Additional papers emerged, concerning the company's shares, divided evenly among them. Mr. Mitchell, Victoria's voice pierced the air. She lingered in the doorway, poised yet filled with fury. Indeed, it is true. Are you really parting with your legacy? The attorney collected his documents. I will ensure these are processed without delay. Once she was by herself, Victoria reached for one of the trust documents. Just like that, billions in assets? They are my offspring. They are unfamiliar faces connected by the same genetic thread. She flung the paper aside. I received a call from the board. Do they believe you're experiencing a kind of crisis? James approached his window, observing the Tech Vision logo light up the skyline. Is it because I'm embracing fatherhood? Are you tearing down all that you've created? Victoria's poise shattered. The James that the first knew would never. The James you once knew was devoid of substance. He pivoted to meet her gaze. The James you knew gauged his value through stock prices and acquisition deals. What comes next? Currently, I gauge it through science projects and soccer matches. In Michael's chess strategies, Thomas's coding brilliance, and Daniel's curiosity about the universe. His phone vibrated with a sudden buzz. Sarah shared a video of the boys rehearsing their science presentation. Victoria observed him intently. Have you truly transformed? I trust it will be for the best. She removed her engagement ring and set it down on his desk. Those boys had better prove their value. Once she departed, James reached out to Sarah. Are the boys still awake? Attempting to manipulate the school's grading system. Inform Thomas that it is morally wrong. Sarah chuckled softly. Convey the message directly to him. Are you still planning to join us for dinner? James gazed at his desk. Documents of trust, corporate records, choices regarding finances, authority, and heritage. Everything was inconsequential. I wouldn't dream of missing it. As the night wore on, James observed his sons bickering over a coding issue, and a realization dawned on him. The empire he constructed, the billions he amassed, they were merely figures displayed on a monitor. However, three boys who shared his passion for innovation and his drive for excellence, yet somehow possessed Sarah's heart and wisdom, this was his true legacy. Once more, his phone vibrated with a notification. With the board looming with threats of action, investors are retreating, and stock prices are in freefall. James muted it without a glance. Certain decisions seemed to unfold on their own. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. The figures speak for themselves, James. Tom's CFO slid the quarterly report across the conference table with a measured precision. Our market value has declined by 15% following the revelation of your personal circumstances. 8 executives stood by, anticipating his reply, expressions varying from worry to aggression. James examined the document, keenly sensing the underlying tension. Individual circumstances? James reiterated. Are you referring to my kids? Patricia from legal interjected, noting that the timing is unfortunate. My sons are not victims of bad timing. James's voice was unyielding. What's the following point? Tom maintained that there was no subsequent point. This is the crux of the matter. In the past 2 months, you have overlooked 6 important meetings. The media is crafting narratives surrounding uncertainty and governance. Are investors feeling anxious? So, should they feel anxious? James rose to his feet. The meeting has concluded. We're not done yet, Patricia insisted. Indeed, we are. I have a meeting with my child's teacher at 3. The boardroom was filled with a sudden surge of energy. James had just reached the midpoint to the door when Tom's voice rang out, halting him in his tracks. The board is contemplating a vote of no confidence. James halted, then turned slowly. You created this company, Tom went on, yet recently you appear to be more focused on constructing something different. A household. A diversion. James returned to the table, resting both hands on its gleaming surface. Allow me to clarify. The importance of a tech vision resonates deeply with me. However, if you compel me to decide between my role here and my children, the result will not be to your liking. Are you implying something menacing? Is it a commitment? James adjusted his posture. I hold the majority of shares. With a single phone call, I can bring this board to an end. Patricia fidgeted with her papers, a hint of anxiety in her demeanor. That would completely undermine the stock. So please don't put me in a position to decide. Inside his vehicle, James relaxed his tie and let out a deep breath. His phone displayed 3 missed calls from investors, 2 from the PR team, and 1 from Sarah. He returned Sarah's call. How did the meeting turn out? It went about as well as anticipated. How are the lads? Eager to reveal their grades. Even Daniel achieved an A in P. James smiled, sensing the tension in the boardroom begin to dissipate. Inform them that I am en route. Upon arriving at Sarah's house, he was met with a whirlwind of disorder. Michael delved into a complex chess strategy, while Thomas immersed himself in debugging code, and Daniel explored the intricacies of quantum mechanics. Father, Thomas reached out. Could you assist me in resolving this loop issue? Following his explanation of the dual nature of photons as both particles and waves, Daniel chimed in. Upon witnessing my new chess opening, Michael responded with a counter-move. James was engulfed by a wave of emotions, and it was a delightful experience. Once more, his phone vibrated with a notification. A fresh turmoil has emerged at TechVision. Yet another board member seeking the spotlight. James switched it off. Reveal the code, he instructed Thomas. Michael and Daniel huddled closely, their foreheads nearly touching as they leaned over the laptop. This, James understood, was the true essence of success. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Mr. Mitchell, regarding the shares you passed on to your sons? The board has decided that they should be frozen. Patricia shared the news in James's office, a space where family photos had come to outshine the business awards. What are the reasons? Capacity of the mind. James's laughter was chilling. Do they really believe that being a father renders me incapable? Is it really wise to give three 10-year-olds 40% of a tech giant's show? That seems like a questionable decision. His phone vibrated. Sarah. James Daniel is unwell. I am feverish. Is he inquiring about you? The former James would have dispatched his chauffeur with the finest physician that wealth could procure. The new James was already reaching for his coat. This meeting isn't over, Patricia protested. Indeed, it is. In the quiet of Sarah's home, Daniel rested in bed, his complexion strikingly pale. Michael and Thomas lingered with a sense of unease. Father, Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. Could you provide an explanation of quantum entanglement at this moment? I'm struggling to concentrate on my book. James settled onto the bed, pulling his son in tightly. Imagine it as the three of you. Regardless of the distance between them, particles remain intertwined. Just like how Michael has an uncanny ability to sense when Thomas is in a bind. Or how Daniel completes our thoughts, Thomas remarked, ascending. Precisely. James placed his hand on Daniel's forehead, which was radiating heat. It's referred to as eerie influence across space. Just like how Mom always knew you'd show up, Michael murmured softly. Sarah arrived bearing medicine. 102.3. We need to take him to the hospital. I will reach out to my... Sarah interjected. No private hospitals. No preferential treatment. They must engage with reality, James. In the emergency room, they sat in anticipation just like any other family. Daniel rested gently against James's chest, while Michael and Thomas engaged in soft games on either side. His phone erupted with a flurry of messages. Emergency session of the board is being convened. The stock continues to decline. Victoria discussing his struggles in interviews. James hushed everyone, concentrating intently on Daniel's breath. You don't have to stay, Sarah whispered gently. I'm aware that there's a situation unfolding at work. James gazed at his slumbering son, observing Thomas and Michael struggling against sleep to remain near their brother. I find myself precisely in the right place. The physician identified a serious case of influenza, recommending ample rest and hydration. As they departed the hospital, the first light of dawn illuminating San Francisco, James came to a profound realization. In his previous existence, he had spent numerous sleepless nights chasing technological dreams. Yet here he is, vigilantly tending to his ailing child, grappling with a sense of powerlessness while recognizing his vital role. That night stood as the most challenging and significant moment he had ever faced. Father, Daniel muttered softly while James lifted him into the car. Are quarks truly fundamental particles? James wore a weary smile. Shall we delve into quantum chromodynamics once you're feeling better? I promise. Is that a guarantee? His phone vibrated one final time, the board's ultimate alert. James removed it without taking a look. Certain conflicts lacked justification. Some indeed were. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. They're attempting to push me out, James confided to Sarah as they sipped their coffee. 3 weeks had elapsed since Daniel's time in the hospital. The committee, the stakeholders, and even longtime acquaintances. Is it because you prioritize your sons over the company? Because I prefer anything to the company. James observed from the kitchen window as the boys constructed what they insisted was a quantum computer in the backyard. Do they believe I'm experiencing a breakdown? Are you? A potential breakthrough, perhaps? He chuckled as Thomas inadvertently doused Michael with a garden hose, sparking an unexpected water battle. Clarity has never been so vivid. The phone buzzed to life and there it was, Tom Chin once more. James chose not to answer the call. You can't escape them indefinitely, Sarah said softly. Look at me, Dad. Daniel shouted from the yard. Your assistance is required for the quantum entanglement simulation and the artificial intelligence model. Thomas included. Mom mentioned that you agreed to share your knowledge about venture capital with us? Michael brought it to his attention. James rose to his feet, but Sarah grasped his arm firmly. They have concerns about the possibility of losing you once more. Could you clarify what you mean? Whenever your phone rings, they believe you'll opt for the company, as it was previously. Just as James was about to reply, Patricia and Tom emerged at Sarah's back door. "James, this has gone on long enough," Tom started. Patricia emphasized that you can't simply disappear from the entire board. "Indeed, I am capable of that." James went to be with his sons. "I have a lot on my plate right now. The shareholders demand your resignation. Then allow them. Your enduring impact. It is present in this very location." James motioned toward his sons, who were all observing the confrontation with matching looks of worry. Three exceptional boys who merit a father far more than TechVision merits a CEO. "Are you truly prepared to sacrifice all that you've created?" Tom insisted. James observed Michael's vigilant posture, Thomas's bold stare, and Daniel's shrewd expression. "I have nothing to lose. I am acquiring it all." "The company is destined for failure without you," Patricia cautioned. James smiled, shaking his head. "It definitely will not. My sons just demonstrated the way to save it." All eyes were on James as he retrieved his phone, at last responding to one of Tom's countless calls. "Arrange an urgent board meeting. In the early hours of the morrow. I would like to present an idea." Each day, Michael proclaimed that they would not surrender. "There is always a way forward," Thomas asserted. Daniel highlighted that statistics can be misleading. James penned his thoughts during the long, restless nights when discomfort refused to let him sleep. "Do you recall the day we constructed that volcano? Is this your inaugural robotics competition?" Text, "Do you remember the moment you attempted to breach my phone's security? Every memory is a treasure. Every instant immortalized on the page." He made quick sketches in the margins. Visual representations of chess maneuvers. Crafting algorithms for coding. Logical demonstrations in mathematics. Charts leading to the profound insights he unearthed only after the moment had passed. Above all, he emphasized in every book that true success is not defined by money or accomplishments. It is quantified in instances such as this. The volumes of the journals expanded in depth. His hands became increasingly frail. Yet the words flowed endlessly, meant for his sons, their future, and all the dialogues that would remain unspoken. His phone vibrated with notifications from physicians, experts, and board members. He dismissed them all. Time had become his most invaluable asset, and he was acutely aware of how to allocate it wisely. "Father," Michael glanced inside. "We are in the process of developing a quantum neural network. Looking to lend a hand?" James shut the journals, a smile breaking through his fatigue. "Without fail. Some legacies remain unwritten. They needed to be experienced. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Are you prepared for this?" Sarah offered to assist James in straightening his tie. He nodded, preserving his strength. 3 months had elapsed since the diagnosis. Today marked Michael's second foray into the world of robotics competition. Their squad had reached the championship match. Sarah continued, stating that the boys are already there. "Is Michael feeling anxious?" "He ought not to be." James succeeded in mustering a smile. "He is exceptionally talented." The atmosphere in the school gymnasium was electric with anticipation. James quickly noticed his sons, 3 golden-haired figures hunched over a robot, fine-tuning their creation with focused intensity. "Father." They hurried to him, enveloping him in a gentle embrace. They had become increasingly vigilant since his previous hospitalization. "How is our champion faring?" James inquired of Michael. Before Michael could respond, Thomas mentioned that the servo motor was malfunctioning. However, Daniel remarked that the calculations are flawless. James examined the intricate details of their robot. "Reveal it to me." They collaborated closely, their brows furrowed over circuits and code, reminiscent of days gone by. James's hands trembled excessively, yet his mind remained keen and alert. He gestured in that direction. "The connection seems to be a bit loose." Thomas resolved the issue with remarkable speed. The machine stirred into action with a soft hum. "Just 2 minutes until we begin," the announcer declared. "Mother?" Michael appeared troubled. "Is it possible for Dad to remain until the conclusion?" Sarah cast a fleeting look at James. Both were aware that he ought to be taking a break. James proclaimed, "Not even the wildest of horses could pull me from this path." The rivalry was intense. Michael's team progressed through each round with determination. James observed his son move forward with assurance, navigate challenges with poise, and acknowledge achievements with modesty. In the concluding round, their robot executed its tasks with impeccable precision. As Michael's team emerged victorious, James let out the loudest cheer, undeterred by his own frailties. "We accomplished it." Michael dashed toward his parents, trophy proudly held aloft. "We accomplished it, Dad." "You've accomplished it," James said gently. "Each and every one of you." Later at home, James observed his sons reveling in their celebration. Sarah met his gaze, comprehending the look on his face. Without a hint of hesitation, she murmured her words. "Only one." He observed the boys sharing laughter. "Lacking additional time. You've provided them with all the essentials." James reflected on the journals awaiting him at home, filled with lessons, memories, and the affection captured within those pages. Nearly all of it, he murmured. As he observed his sons, Michael's commanding presence, Thomas's creative spark, Daniel's insightful approach, James realized that Sarah's perspective was indeed accurate. They would be fine. They represented his legacy, his finest accomplishment, his flawless creation. Once the boys had drifted off to sleep that night, James took the time to contribute to their journals. "Today I observed you guiding your team to triumph, Michael. Not by means of coercion or intimidation, but by fostering comprehension and igniting motivation. You possess a remarkable talent, my boy, one that allows you to inspire greatness in those around you. Utilize it with care." For Thomas, your approach to the servo motor issue today was exceptional. What truly stood out was your ability to take a step back and allow your brother to take the spotlight. Genuine innovation transcends mere technology. It involves creating opportunities for others to thrive. For Daniel, I noticed you mentally plotting trajectories throughout the competition, providing quiet yet vital support to your brothers. It's clear that often the most significant impacts are those that go unnoticed. Always cherish that insight. His hands trembled more intensely now, the script hardly decipherable. Yet he needed to complete it. Today was more than merely clinching a victory in a competition for all three of you. It revolved around collaboration, uplifting one another, and rejoicing as a united family. Hold on to this sensation. It holds greater value than any accolade or market figure. I will miss your graduations, your first dates, and your future victories. Yet I will exist within the code you create, the challenges you tackle, the methods you employ to support one another. I dedicated years to crafting Tech Vision, believing it would stand as my legacy. I acknowledge my mistake. The three of you, your brilliance, your kindness, your connection with one another. You are the essence of my enduring impact. With all my love, Dad. His phone buzzed. Yet another clinical trial promising empty assurances. James chose to overlook it. From his vantage point by the window, he observed his sons in their treehouse, eagerly scheming their next endeavor. Their voices floated softly through the air. What if we adjust the AI algorithm? Applying the principles of quantum entanglement? During the process of enhancing the neural network? James beamed with delight. They were his finest creation, operating flawlessly, correcting their own errors, becoming more robust with each passing day. Certain programs are destined to endure beyond the vision of their originator. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. Sarah lounged in the well-known backyard, observing three 15-year-old boys gathered around their laptops. The treehouse that James began constructing 5 years prior was now complete, functioning as their coding headquarters. "Mother," Thomas shouted from above, "we've discovered yet another." She ascended with caution, bending low to pass beneath the sign that read Mitchell Brothers Tech Lab. Within, 3 matching smiles welcomed her. Michael gestured towards his screen. Concealed within the remnants of Dad's past coding? It was yet another hidden gem, one of the many that James had cleverly concealed within TechVision's code prior to his passing. Small notes, riddles, and insights for his sons to uncover. To my sons, I will not witness your transformation into the men you are destined to become. However, I have provided you with the sole algorithm of significance. Embrace love with all your heart. Embrace audacity. Devote yourself entirely. Maintain your connections. Everything else is merely a matter of structure. With all my love, Dad. Sarah discovered them later in the treehouse, now transformed into their secluded brainstorming haven. A fresh endeavor was underway. Michael elaborated on a method to assist other families. Building on the lessons imparted by Dad, Thomas contributed. Concerning the essence of what truly counts, Daniel concluded. Through the treehouse window, the TechVision logo illuminated the night sky above them. Yet now it carried a different significance. More than mere technology, more than mere sight, yet affection woven into each pixel. Family woven into every word. Heritage flowing in flawless harmony. Exactly as James had designed it. Remember to show your support by liking and subscribing. A decade has passed since James left us at the age of 25. The St. Regis Hotel ballroom was bustling once more. Yet this occasion was for a distinct celebration. The Mitchell brothers were honored with the James Mitchell Innovation Award. A recognition established not for advancements in technology, but for organizations that prioritize family values. 15 years prior, Michael spoke to the audience. A man stood in this very room and witnessed his entire world transform. He arrived with the intent to humiliate someone, Thomas went on. Yet, in the end, Daniel discovered redemption and brought his journey to completion. Sarah sat in the front row, cradling the 3 journals in her lap. Her sons had blossomed into extraordinary individuals. Michael, the head of the Human Development Division at TechVision, is Thomas. Chief Innovation Officer, transforming ethical AI, Daniel. Leading the charge in quantum research, pushing the limits of science. However, their most significant accomplishments were not in their careers. Their commitment to prioritizing family within corporate policies had revolutionized Silicon Valley. The James Mitchell Foundation has enlightened countless individuals. Their advancements in quantum computing were applied for healing purposes, rather than for financial gain. Michael continued, sharing a deep lesson imparted by our father. Success cannot be quantified by stock prices, Thomas remarked. Yet in the lives we influence, Daniel concluded. Their latest project was revealed to the public. The Mitchell Code. Not merely a computer program, but rather a way of thinking. Prioritize family above all else. Creativity benefits society. Achievement demands passion. Heritage is affection. In the crowd, former board members who had previously resisted James's decisions now acknowledged him with a nod of comprehension. Victoria Chase, now happily remarried, brushed away her tears. In the childhood treehouse, now a cherished historic landmark, the brothers discovered one last Easter egg. Concealed within the intricate layers of TechVision's original code, it remained undiscovered for a staggering 15 years. My dear sons, if you happen to come across this, know that you have already achieved more than I ever imagined possible. Not due to what you've created, but because of the person you've transformed into. Keep in mind, the most intricate equation is love. The most challenging flaw to rectify is arrogance. True brilliance lies in the power of kindness. The ideal code embodies the essence of family. I once believed my legacy would be a grand empire. Rather, it's 3 hearts pulsating in flawless harmony. 3 intellects tackling the most significant issues facing humanity. 3 spirits demonstrating that achievement devoid of affection is merely a masked defeat. Continue crafting your code. Continue to show your compassion. Continue to have faith. And keep in mind, the strongest bond ever created is the love shared between brothers. Always troubleshooting father. Sarah settled in with them, gazing at the sun dipping below the horizon of Silicon Valley. TechVision's logo continued to loom over the skyline, yet it now symbolized something far more significant. The affection of a father. The insight of a mother. 3 brothers share a deep connection. True wealth is not counted in billions, but rather in the moments we cherish and the lives we impact. Lesson. At times, the most significant setbacks in life pave the way for our deepest triumphs. At times, the meticulously crafted strategies we devise require a total overhaul. At times, the legacy we believe we are creating may not be the one that holds the greatest significance. Ultimately, the only script that holds real significance is the one inscribed within our hearts. The essence of affection, kinship, and bonds that transcend the limitations of technology. That marked the culmination of James Mitchell's creativity, his flawless code. Three sons who realized that achievement devoid of affection is merely figures on a display, yet love without boundaries has the power to transform the world. And that's a program deserving of endless execution.